Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I'm Lauren. I'm a wife and a new mom. I came up with the idea of this podcast after struggling to find mommy groups around me when my son was born. I wanted a community of mothers I heard so many of my friends talk about when they had their children. This podcast is to help mothers like me that want a community of mothers to connect with when they have their free time. Together with my usual guest, Taryn, and other mothers, we will share our experiences, not our advice, through motherhood, and hopefully get some tips from you, the listeners. So come join us on the Mommy Escape Time podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and I'm here again with Taryn.
Hi.
And so I know we've been gone for a little while.
A little bit.
So in this episode, we're going to kind of talk about how the end of our December ended and our goals for 2019. Yeah. So I just feel like a lot happened between the two of us. Yes. And we had this great plan, coming into October and November, like, okay, we're going to record these days, and then we'll have it all set up for, November, December.
Remember that?
Well, when you make plans. So kids happen, life happens, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's also just that time of year. I mean, it's a tough time of year.
Yeah, it's crazy. So between schedules and kids getting sick and being in school where everyone is sick all of the time, it's just...
Yeah, it's tough. So let's start first. I mean, I'll start. I know that we tried to record probably twice, and I had no voice.
Yep.
And ironically, when you do a podcast, the one thing that you do need is a voice.
The only thing you need.
Right. So, just couldn't really record, and we had a bunch of dates planned, and I didn't have a voice for probably like a week and a half.
Right.
So, and even just being sick, I have been sick since the beginning of November, on and off. And I used to have like the best immune system, and I never used to get sick. And not anymore. Right. That's over, I guess.
It's like that meme I sent you that said, I used to think I had a great immune system. Then I had kids who sneezed in my face, and it turns out I was just really good at avoiding kids who sneeze in my face.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess at high school level, it's a little easier to avoid the sneeze in the face. But yeah. So, that's been a little rough. And I know you had stuff too.
Yep, my daughter had lice, which was amazing. That was one day we were supposed to record, and instead I was elbow deep in pesticides trying to kill these bugs.
And I'm itching my head as she's saying it.
No, me too.
Even though it was like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. It's just, it's hard to come up with the time sometimes just to even find any time to match our times up together. If we could do it during school, we probably would have a better shot.
Oh my God, yeah. And we'd have much more frequent shows because we're together all the time.
Exactly. So if we could fit that in. But let's move on. Let's talk about Christmas and the break that we had.
Yeah.
This is like the teacher's like dream break time, because it's one of the years where December falls at the perfect time where we still have a week in November when we come back from Thanksgiving. So it feels like we have an extra week to get stuff done. And then when we get out of school, I think it was like the 21st or something like that.
Right, because Christmas Eve was on a Monday.
Yeah.
So we had a full weekend.
Yes, having that weekend before Christmas Eve, it's like a miracle.
Oh my gosh. I was able to take a deep breath before the holiday chaos began. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, my husband and I, we did 2 more like Christmas activities with our son.
Yeah.
You did something. You went to go see lights.
We went to the holiday lights at an amusement park near us, and we went to a farm that decorates for the holidays, and it was so cute. And I wouldn't have been able to do it had we not had that weekend.
Exactly. And like, I never felt like rushed. It was like, okay, today I'm going to work on this. Tomorrow I'm going to work on this. And I hosted both days. And like, it was fine.
I did not.
Yeah, but it was great. I mean, it just seemed so easy to get things done, and I never realized that hosting wise, because I also had our department party at our house, how much everyone just hangs out in the kitchen. Like, no matter how you try and spread everyone out in a party, everyone's in the kitchen.
Right. There's no way you could put the most enticing snack in another room, and inevitably everyone is still huddled around the island in the kitchen.
I know. And our island is actually smaller than most because it's not like a rectangle. It's a triangle.
It's like a Superman symbol.
Yeah,
right?
I don't really know how to describe the shape, but yeah, I mean, and there's like a bar top for 2 people to sit at, and then there's counter space. So it was kind of funny on Christmas Eve because we had about like 10 people like around that, and then people at the stove trying to cook. So it was nice because like you were a part of everyone's conversation. So that was really nice too. Yeah. So it's just so nice.
And that was our Christmas Eve too, and Christmas Day actually. So we didn't host, but we went to a friend of the family's house for Christmas Eve, and just like every other house we went to, we ended up in the kitchen, and they had a peninsula where my friend's wife was cooking, and she was able to participate. Right. Except then she was like, no, you need to go sit where I put the fine china for dinner. So we were like, okay. So she forced us to sit at the fancy table. And then we traveled to Long Island to visit my family for Christmas Day. And same thing. We were at my mom's house, and we were in the kitchen. And we were at my dad's house, and we were in the kitchen.
I know.
It's just a comfortable place. And then I didn't feel like I was excluding anyone, which was also nice.
Yeah, I think that makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also had to use our china. My husband and I are really big though about using our china all the time. Mm-hmm. So we have 2 sets of china because we do a lot of Christmas stuff. And my mom had some of the Christmas spode, and when she retired, she gave me her Christmas spode. Aww. And so I have like a lot of pieces from her, and then I've acquired some pieces the last couple of years. So the day after Thanksgiving, our regular china, our day-to-day china goes away, and our Christmas spode comes out, and we put that out, and we use that every day.
That's awesome.
Because you only have that month. And if you're going to have it, you better use it. So, yeah. But in our regular life, we use the china every Saturday and Sunday when we have dinner. We use our fine china.
We use our china every day. It became our regular plates because my grandmother, who's in her mid-80s, old Italian lady, I love her, thick Long Island accent, would say, "Ta, it took me 60 years to use my china. It's about time." And she would tell me all the time just to use it. And I was like, I can't do that. It's so nice. And finally I said, my grandmother's lived a great life. If she has this advice, I'm going to take it. And it just gives a formality to our meals that is so nice. And I feel like the people who got us the china for our wedding, their gifts didn't go to waste. It's one of the things we use most frequently. And I get to think about, like, my mom got me some pieces. Right. Some aunts and uncles got me pieces. My sisters got me some. So, like, it's just nice to think about everyone every time we sit for a meal. I know. It's one of my biggest regrets that I didn't get, like, I didn't register for every piece of the china at the time. Like, because I was like, oh, I'll never need the sugar or the creamer because I don't drink coffee. Well, guess what? Every other person who would be coming to our house does have it, and now I'm like, well, I'm not spending $400 on that. Like, who's that stupid that would go out and buy a $400 like cream or sugar set? Right. So yeah, we 2020 hindsight. I know. Yeah. I was like, one day I'll get it. But I do have it for the spode, so we actually use the Christmas one all year round. That's so funny. Because I was like, well, I do have that, so might as well use that. And actually, my mom had gotten a Keurig because my husband and I both don't drink coffee. So I drink tea, and every so often my husband will have hot chocolate. And so we basically just, have a little tea kettle, and that's it. Yeah. So my mom had bought us a Keurig for when people come over like that for events. Oh, that was a good idea. Yeah, so that we could just have that, and then people can have whatever they want. Right. You can have like a little array that you just keep on hand. Right. No, my husband and I could drink a pot of coffee ourselves in one day. So Ours actually broke this morning. I was so frustrated. I was on my...
Oh, that's why you got coffee?
Yeah. I was getting ready to brew the coffee, and we have a grind and brew, so full whole beans are on the top, and the motor sounded funny, and I was like, no. So then I had to stop for coffee on my way to work, or I would have been miserable. So.
Yeah. Definitely.
Keurig's probably the way to go.
Yeah, but it's nice to have the beans.
It is.
That's really nice.
And it's a little bit more eco-friendly without having little plastic pods
right,
every day.
Exactly.
Because we'd probably have 6.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wraps up. I mean, the break was great.
Yeah.
I mean, having time off, never going to complain about that.
No.
So, it's just, it's nice. I enjoyed it because I had a tough time going back at the beginning of the school year because I felt like I was gypped out of, 3 or 4 weeks of my maternity leave when I broke my leg.
Right.
So I was, all I kept being like is just get to Christmas break so you can hang out with your child.
Yes.
So I was just very grateful for the time.
Yeah, and then your kids get to my age, and by the end of winter break, you're like, and whenever they want to go back to school is great, because if they don't kill each other, I might kill one of them. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's definitely two ends of the spectrum there. Yeah.
I was so excited too. And then after a couple days, I was like, yeah, we're good. We need the separation. Yeah, distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Definitely. So over the break, I still am sick. So if I keep clearing my throat, just please understand. It is what it is. It's also winter.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the new year then. I had a really weird, we could talk about some of our goals and things like that. I had thought, I went back to the doctor. First of all, I had a doctor who was great and he was fantastic. He was my surgeon for when I broke my leg. And just when the first appointment I had where I could take off my boot, he was like, yeah, so I'm moving to Florida. And I was like,
no,
oh my gosh. And at the time it was like totally fine because I was like, well, I'm walking on my own now, so it's okay. And so he had me start going to see a new doctor. So I started to go see this new doctor right before break. And he said, we got to look at your knee. He's like, I don't want to speculate. And I kept thinking he was going to be like, oh, it's something easy, like maybe a quick surgery. And I was like, okay, so if it's the quick surgery, it'll be like this. And then he followed up, yeah. And if it's not that, so it'll be a more invasive surgery. And I'd really have to see the MRI to see those results to know more. So that's normally doctors don't always say like the second part, like the worst case scenario,
right?
Like they don't remind you of that part. And so the fact that he brought up the worst case scenario, I'm like, oh, he probably already knows that I like torn something or did something else. And like, I don't have a ton of pain, but definitely going, I'll say left and right in case we don't know the specific terms for that. But left and right. Still can't run. And I was told I would be able to start running back in December.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm trying I'm really trying to reduce the amount of stuff that I'm doing. I wanted to do more at this point, but I just, I'm only getting in 30 minutes a day right now. And it's broken up like 15 minutes, 20 minutes in the morning, 15, 20 minutes in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And it's just, that's time-wise how I have the ability to do it. But it's just, it's so hard not to run.
Yeah.
So, and it's just kind of, I'm standing by, like waiting, like,
do I have the go now?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, can I just run? I'm like, I get that I'll be running and walking, but like, that's like the one, even like walking, like I used to walk, I have a 3-mile loop where my house is. And I did it like a few times and it definitely got worse. So.
That's so crushing. So do you know the timeline for when you'll be able to hear back about the results from the MRI?
So I go in a week to hear the results and I'll know then what I'm looking at. Yikes. And he's like, maybe it's just physical therapy. He's like, probably not though.
but maybe.
So I'm just assuming that do we need to stop?
No, my son is calling, but it's okay. He's with my husband, so it's not like he's in dire straits. Yeah.
Right. You know how it is. So if we pause, you understand why. But we just, so I hear and we'll see from there. So because I can't work out how I want to, I was like, okay, then food has to be the priority. Like that's where I have to start doing it. And I've never had to do that before. I've always been able to be like, okay, well, I'll just cut the calories. Like I won't eat this, or this. Or if I eat like, normally what I do is if I eat 4 vegetables and 4 servings of vegetables, 4 servings of fruit, then at night, like I can have a little dessert. Yeah. And that's like how I would get, and if I worked out that day, then I could have the dessert. So like that worked out for me. But now I'm like, I can't even just do that because I'm not working out. Like I can't just cut a few foods.
Yeah,
and,
you need to.
And still give that reward.
Yeah.
So someone that I follow on Instagram had posted about this sugar fast thing. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And normally I wouldn't say I was going to do something like that. But I felt like it was like a little bit of it was a sign because on YouTube, I would say 2 weeks before that had come up, like randomly this video like recommended for me was like, this couple did a sugar fast. See what happened.
Get out.
And I actually watched the video and it was like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes long. And it was like, oh my gosh. I was like 2 totally random things came up.
That are not connected.
Not connected whatsoever. So I'm like, okay. so I have to try this. So, and I know that we've talked on one of our previous episodes about food before. And I have such I'll say it's an addiction to sugar.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Me too.
So I was like, I need to have some sort of self-control and I need to get back to it because it's so hard to, I've been eating weird when I was pregnant. After I was pregnant, like I was just getting a handle on it. And then I broke my leg and I didn't have control of what food I was eating. It was like whatever people brought me.
Right. People were bringing you stuff. Yeah.
Including like, I'm telling you, like my husband bringing me food from the refrigerator. Like, because it's not like I'm grocery shopping. It's not like I'm cooking. It's not like I could even get out of bed for a while. So it was like whatever someone brought me, that's what I had to eat. So it wasn't always the healthiest thing because, again, like we're taking care of a child here. So everyone doesn't have time to like make me my individual food.
But I wanted grilled chicken.
Right. I can't be like, so I'm on a diet.
If you could just remove all the gluten, that would be great.
So it was kind of like, okay, eventually I have to like get over this and like eat what I need to eat. So that took a little longer than I had anticipated. And so I really was like gung-ho on this sugar fast. And I know some people emailed me. They're like, well, this is a religious sugar fast. I get that. I understand that. You don't have to follow that part. This is not a religious podcast, and I'm not trying to push anything on anyone. I still think you can follow the rules of not eating sweets, though, for 40 days.
The nutritional guidelines of a sugar fast can be done without the religion, because I'll be the first to say I might not be the most religious. I am spiritual. I am not religious, and those are 2 very different things, and I can follow this sugar fast.
Right.
No problem.
And even the daily emails, there is religious aspects to it, but some of it is just motivational. And again, you don't have to read daily emails to stay up on the sugar fast.
Yeah. I mean, I can start posting motivational quotes if you'd like. And then we'll be all set.
Right. And it's not my fast. Like this is some other woman's fast that I'm just joining on. And some of it, one of the books that she recommended, I just started reading last night, and all I got to was the foreword. I haven't even gotten to the meat and bones of it. But it was so funny because the first part of the foreword was like, oh, it was right after my son's birthday party, and I ate a piece of cake. And because I deserved it. She's like, I put on the party and I deserved a piece of cake. So I sat down and ate a piece of cake. And then I, started to clean up and I came back to the kitchen and I ate a little more cake. And then I went back to do something and I came back to the kitchen again and I ate a whole nother piece of cake. And
well, because you got to even it out so that it's
right.
perfectly half to put back into the fridge.
And she tells you the story about how she kept going back. She's like, I wasn't hungry. I actually didn't even feel well. And I kept eating this cake. And she's like, I just could not stop.
She's in my brain.
Right. And I was like, oh, I'm like, that's exactly me. I was like, so I know that the book has more religious connotations, and I'll post it. It's called Full, and I could post it in the show notes so you can see it. But I mean, I've only gotten to the foreword, so I can't really say any more. But even so, even if it's not a religious thing for you, I think that if you're spiritual, if you just understand, like it kind of helps you like see like what you're.
Right.
Why does that type of thing happen? Why do we keep going back even though we're full?
And I believe, based on some articles I've read and stuff, that an addiction to sugar is truly an addiction. So what's the behavior behind the addiction that's propelling it forward?
Right.
And I mean, AA, you might not be a religious person, but it has some steps that are founded in religion, and people of all walks of life go.
Right.
So that's how I kind of equate it in my mind, is that it doesn't, just because they happen to have a religious component of it doesn't mean you have to be like holier than thou to be successful.
Right. And I can't think of the woman who runs it right now, Wendy. She runs it, and she even says in it, she says the religious and the spiritual part of it is for you. That's not the part that you should be sharing. Like, that's your journey through it. Because obviously if the two of us are doing it, you're going to have a different story than I'm going to have a different story. And what my vices are going to be different than yours. So it's just a great thing. And like, I really liked this one because the guidelines were tailored to you. It was, you're not going to eat any sweets. And that's like the main goal, like no sweets. And I think that's a very easy thing to say. And then she goes, you could take it further. If you want to, take out all processed foods and all sugars, then do that.
Yeah.
And there's no meal plan that goes along with this. Like, you have to figure that part out. And that's what I kind of like. This is only day 3, I think.
Yeah.
And they say that like the first 8 days are the hardest days. So we're like getting into like the hard days now.
I might be getting a little cranky soon,
And it's so funny that like when things that I've started to associate, like when I walk in the door from work, I guess I used to have chocolate chips, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And until like I couldn't have them, I didn't even know that I was having them. So it was like, I'm like, how often do I have chocolate chips? And then I said that to my husband, and he goes, do you know that you buy bags of chocolate chips like when you go to the grocery store? I'm like, bags?
What?
I'm like, of course I'm not losing weight if I'm buying bags of chocolate chips.
And so my excuse is always, well, I'm buying it for my kids. These are dairy-free chocolate chips for my son.
So they're healthy because there's no dairy.
Right, exactly.
Right?
No.
I know.
When the sugar content's through the roof. Like,
I know.
Okay.
Because that's the other part of the sugar fast, is not turning to, I don't want to say fake sugars, but I guess I don't know how else to
processed
say.
Sugars,
Processed sugars, like no sweeteners and things like that.
Yeah.
Because they're like, that's the part, replacing it. Like, I can't just go out and buy like sugar-free chocolate chips and eat those instead. Like, the point is to not eat the stuff.
It's to
like
change
that.
the behavior, not replace it, because then, and when I used to do Weight Watchers, they would say the same thing. Like, you can eat 5 points worth of chocolate or 5 points worth of an apple. Apples might be 3 points now. I don't even know. It's been so long.
But if you ate 5 apples and it equaled 5 points, right?
Right. 5 apples were 5 points, and a tablespoon of chocolate chips was 5 points. And so then I switched my tablespoon of chocolate chips for a tablespoon of sugar-free chocolate chips. Well, when I stopped Weight Watchers, I was still eating the chocolate chips.
Right.
Like, my behavior didn't change to impact a sustainable weight loss.
Right.
Not that Weight Watchers is bad.
No,
of course
not.
I did it, I didn't do it the way that would have worked for me.
Right. And I think part of it is like, I just I need some control of my body at this point, and I just need to know that like I can resist. Because another part of the forward was she was so amazed that there were people at this party, at this dessert table, that they looked at it and there was nothing they liked and they walked away. And she's like, I could never go to a dessert table and just walk away.
Right.
Like,
the only reason why I would walk away is because of all of my allergies.
Right,
like
yeah.
not because I wanted to, because I would have
Right.
eaten one of everything.
Exactly. And it was, I did like a little meal prep for this week because it's not a full week. I mean, we started on a Tuesday and then we're going through, and I was like, okay, well, I just need to get through school, and I'll be fine. And it was so funny because I didn't even think like, I'm like, okay, I made my bread for the week because yes, I do make my own bread. Because I'm so used to eating those processed like bagels,
Right.
and I knew I couldn't have those because there's a ton of sugar in those, just so you know.
And in Cheerios,
Yes,
by the way.
I know. Yeah, it's like really forced me to read the labels because I'm really trying to like what I am doing is, besides not eating sweets, is I'm trying to read the labels. The hardest thing I'm having right now is dressing. I can't always make a dressing and bring it with me everywhere I go.
Yeah.
So I've tried to like look at dressings, and so like last night, something that my husband and I make, I normally have honey mustard with it. Can't have honey mustard.
Nope.
That has like a ridiculous amount of sugar in it. Like, and not that I didn't know that it didn't have a lot of sugar. It's the second ingredient. It's before mustard.
And it's not even like the honey is what's creating the sugar.
Right.
It's just
added.
sugar.
Yeah, they're just adding the sugar. And I was like, if I'm eating honey mustard and mustard is not one of the first two ingredients.
Honey and mustard should be fairly close together.
I was like, those two should at least be the top two. And I'm like, if mustard is not even in the top two, I'm like, and sugar is, I was like, clearly this is not something I'm able to eat. So I did have a ranch that did have, it didn't have any sugar that could be measured in grams in the food label, but it was listed in the ingredients. So I was like, okay, so for this, I will use that. And I just haven't been able to make my dressing for this week. So normally for dressings, I would just make it. And then when I'm out, I would just know that I would have some vinaigrette.
Right.
Because that's the best that I could do. And I don't need to completely cut out all sugars of my life. Like I still have to survive, and I still eat fruit, and so that's it. I mean, those are my big things.
Yeah, I always get frustrated with meal plans that say don't eat fruit. I'm like,
Right,
listen,
I know.
The grapes weren't what were making me put on weight.
No, like
it was the chocolate chips that I melted to drizzle onto the grapes.
I don't know if I've ever put chocolate on grapes, but
it's delicious. Don't try it.
I will never, because I'm trying to do really well. So I also kind of want to see how the 40 days will work out. Like, can I do it for 40 days? Like, if I can't do it, then that's something for me to know. I mean, right now I'm like a really gung-ho and really want to try it. And from what everyone has said is after day 8, they're like,
the cravings
go away. And so then, of course, the hard part is after the 40 days, how do I not fall back into the old habits?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to tell you right now that I'm never going to eat sweets again. I'm going to. I already have something that I have planned for the 15th of February, but not a lot. Like, I just want...
Is it chocolate chips?
It's not chocolate chips, but it is chocolate. There is... I don't know how to describe it. There's a cow farm here in Connecticut where...
yes!
See, she already knows.
Yep.
But there's a cow farm here in Connecticut where each cow's milk makes different chocolates.
Like this cow is for the chocolate in the milk chocolate, and this cow is for the dark chocolate.
Right, and each chocolate is named after the cow's name. So if I'm trying to think of, like, Misty is one of the names of the cows. So she has like a Misty caramel chocolate, and her milk is only used to make the
caramel chocolate. Yeah.
Yes. So like normally for Valentine's Day, that's my husband and I order from there and like eat 4 chocolates. So I won't order them till afterwards, but after the challenge to see like, what am I going to want? Like,
right.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to get them.
Right. And maybe you'll look at it and go like, I'm not that interested.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, you have no idea what's going to happen.
Right. And I liked this challenge better because a lot of people do the Whole30, I know. I can't give up chocolate and dairy. I'm not there yet. I can't do it.
Yeah. Agreed. Although here I am.
You are doing it. Yeah, you're doing it. I just can't. And I can't say that I can't do carbs because I physically need bread. I make my own bread. Right. So, it's 4 ingredients. It's flour, salt, water, yeast. That's it.
That's the ingredients for my husband's bread at his bakery, too.
Right.
So he said he was going to put a sign outside that said it's vegan. He's like, maybe we'll attract a new clientele.
I know, because it's like, my cousins are vegan. And when they came over for Christmas Eve, they bring a few of their own things. But I was like, look, I made this bread on my own. I did this on my own. and I made sure that they could have some of the stuff. And I don't think people... I'll put up the recipe that I follow. It's I don't know what it's called. It's called 18-hour bread, I think. And all you do is it sounds worse than it is.
You should see my face. My eyes just bugged out of my head. I'm not spending 18 hours on anything.
But you're not. That's the whole point. So you put the 4 ingredients in a bowl. Like I do it at nighttime, like when I make dinner, I put the 4 ingredients together. You cover the bowl. It doesn't have to be like I do saran wrap. And you leave it there. And then the next day you can put the bread in the oven. I do it in a, one of those Le Creuset things.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So you could put it in the oven. What are those? Dutch ovens. And so all you do is you take that stuff and you put it in. You take the 4 ingredients. When it's done, it rises overnight. That's what the time gives you. And then you throw it into the Dutch oven, and it cooks in 45 minutes. And then you're done. And that's it.
That's awesome.
I know. Someone at work had shown it to me. They were like, oh, we're going to have a snow day tomorrow. Why don't you try this? And I tried it 2 years or 3 years ago, and I make it all the time now.
It's nice that you can let it sit too and not have to worry about it.
Right. So you don't have to knead it or anything.
Yeah.
You literally just mix it together and it's done. So.
All right. I might be able to get on board with that.
Yeah. So, and then you could use different flours. On there's a few different flours that you can use.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So if you want to follow Taryn and I on Mommy Escape Time on Instagram to kind of see, I did a horrible job the last 2 days posting. And it's normally going to be in the, what's that top section called?
Profile?
No, when you see what you could keep posting in the
video, in the stories.
In the
stories.
stories. Yeah, see. I know Instagram so well. So I do a lot in the stories. So if you want to look there every so often, we'll try and do an update closer to the end. But you could check out on Instagram. We'll do more how we're surviving, how we're feeling. Yeah. But day 3, we're still okay.
We're here.
We're here. We're doing well. So that will wrap up today's episode. So thank you, Taryn, for coming on. If you want to follow us on mommyescapetime.com, you can go to the website to get any of the show notes, to get the book that I talked about or the recipe that I talked about today. And you can follow us on Mommy Escape Time on Facegram.
We're having a really great day.
We have more episodes to record today. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You could check everything out there. We're on iTunes if you want to listen to us there, or Google, Stitcher, all those places. Anywhere where basically there's a podcast, you can listen. So go ahead and listen. And if you have any comments for us, let us know in any of the places that we talk to you about. So have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.